Welcome to the Think Holistic Podcast by Indie Holistic Hub, a show designed to help you on your wellness journey. When you think holistic, you live holistic. Find out more at indieholistichub.com. Now, here's your host, Jennifer Seffrin.
Hello and happy day, everyone. It is a great day to think holistic. Yes, it is. I am super joy-filled, truly, that I get to spend some time today with Dr. Doug Strobel. He is with Dr. Doug's Miracle Balms, the creator of that, and he also has the Healthy Brain Doc, which is a concierge neurology practice. Super fascinating, right? A great marriage come together. How so? He's a neurologist who creates foot balms you could eat in a survival situation. Stay tuned in as we continue to talk over the next 30 minutes or so. Welcome, Dr. Doug, to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, definitely. Such a pleasure to get to come together today and talk about different topics, but also tied together. Why don't you jump us off with how you started on your journey? You've been a neurologist for many years, and now you also have a product line. And
Sure. A slightly longer version of what I normally tell is I come from a family of farmers, like chickens and cows and crops and everything. And it was a hard life. And when you have lots of kids and one farm, only one person can really inherit it. So my mother went to nursing school. My dad became an educator. And when your mom's a nurse, and my dad was also military, when your mom's a nurse and your dad's an educator, you end up in medicine. And so, I made a pit stop in the military in the interim. So when I was in the military, I was not in healthcare. So I can remember my grandmother and my aunts making lye soap, right? Actual like soap made from tallow in the barn. And so that obviously had an impact on me. And my grandmother, even though she had TV in her 20s, lived to be over 100. And so, it was the healthy living. She ate out of a garden. And it was a very healthy lifestyle. And sure, she may have needed meds at some point in her life, but we stand on the shoulders of giants, myself included. And she was a woman who probably barely had a high school education, and yet she was incredibly intelligent, as was my grandfather and her children on down. So I came by it osmotically, and then I found out that not a lot of people think like me. I can remember when Andrew Weil, if you remember Andrew Weil, Harvard, he was kind of perceived as flaky and woo-woo, and he was maybe 20 years before his time. And he had an impact on me. And I just wanted to open up to not just Eastern versus Western medicine, but find the good in both and become that.
I love that, and I appreciate it very much, because I do think that's very important, is how do we bridge together to serve the well-being of people out there. So I appreciate the desire to marry together and utilize what's great about both.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's see. So how long have you been a neurologist, and did you ever imagine you would go be doing something else as well alongside that?
Yeah, I always wanted to. I think that we get frustrated with the regimented administrative quality to medicine. And so going my own way and having a private solo practice, a concierge quality practice, gives me the freedom they talk to me. They don't have to talk to the person who is on call, who has to filter everything and retranslate it. So that was a huge upside. I had wanted to do it for probably more than 10 years. And then I just pulled the trigger in the last year or so. And
congratulations.
It's responding very positively.
Yay. Yes. So you're feeling like that's fruitful. And what are you noticing for people, the difference between working with them in your previous setting versus now in your concierge service?
Most of it's quality time. I can really roll up my sleeves and go through their chart. I put together what's called a medical biography. I get rid of all the things that are redundant or cloned, that have no value in terms of their treatment plan. The most important thing is I don't just do symptom management. I go back to the beginning and try and find the cause and correct the cause. And that's really where the holistic and naturopathic part plays a big role. We're not very good about that in my line of work.
So a lot of people are worried and concerned about brain health. I mean, like I hear all the time about people. I experienced it myself with my dad having dementia.
Sure.
And I hear it often, and I hear about people being fearful because they don't want that to be them. I mean, even my dad was fearful of that happening to him, which is interesting because neither one of his parents experienced that. So what would you say to people out there? Is there hope for good cognitive health and being able to prevent those sorts of things?
Yeah, absolutely. I think your DNA is not your destiny. And the environmental influences on our genetics play a role, day to day, year to year. And so one of the things that I do, I have maybe 3 flavors of patience if we overgeneralize. Some people, like yourself, want to be told peace of mind. What is your risk? Did your dad even really have Alzheimer's, dementia, or did he have some other type?
Mm-hmm.
So I help identify that, kind of ward off evil spirits. And they're very much so the one and done. They only come see me once. They get an executive level physical, and I just give them peace of mind. The other flavor is they're not right. They have a family member or family history of something not right, and they just need me to untie the knot. And then there's the final one, and they've been through the system, and I'm the 14th doctor they see. And I just try and once again untie the knot, pull the thread a little bit, or solve the cube. It's very fulfilling, but after 10 doctors, I'm not joking, like 10 or 12 doctors, I can tell you what it is not because they've proven it. So I look like a genius, but I'm really not a genius. I'm just looking somewhere different. And it can be something very simple that I'd say our administrative kind of stainless steel quality medical infrastructure does not support.
Gotcha. So, and yeah, to your point, like, did my dad have dementia? Was it Alzheimer's? I mean, I always like who kind of knows really.
Yeah.
I think that it's seemingly hard for people to really know for certain, or even doctors it's hard to know. You don't really know for sure.
Yeah.
So tell us then, how does Dr. Doug's Miracle Balms tie into what you're doing in the world and how you're affecting people's lives?
So I was always active and tried to be fit, but when my kids got out of college, I had this pay raise of not spending. And so I had extra weekends too. So I was doing adventure races. And like everybody else, when you first start, you don't have the right shoes, you don't have the right gear, you don't have a lot. I think all the products out there are great. I don't have anything negative to say about them, but I wanted something that I could just put in my pocket or put in my ruck and not have to fumble through if it's late evening or dark. And so I was just making it in my kitchen. And then my cousin who was living with me at the time, he liked it. And he said, gosh, we should learn how to sell this. And I don't know how to do that. There's no class for that in medical school. So then Natalie came along. She loved it. And her sister is a dermatologist. She loved it. And so I thought, well, maybe this is more than just runners. So I took my science mind, my medical mind, my experience in the military and on the trail, and I came up with this product. And it's surprisingly feedback based, right? This was before AI. This was 10 years ago, before AI and things like that. And a lot of feedback would be, why don't you put peppermint oil in there? Or why don't you put a little bit of lavender in there? Or, hey, did you know that beeswax is a really good non-comedogenic lubricant? And these are all just people I hike with. And so it came about really trial and error, but now customer feedback, but back then just friends and family feedback.
Yeah. So was it important to you from the very beginning to be using things that were natural and like good for your body?
Yeah. When I said I was making it in the kitchen, I wasn't as tuned into avoidance of forever chemicals back then, but that was when I think DEET was first being banned by the Boy Scouts of America. And we all know about neurotoxins and foods and things, but we think they're at such low levels that it's really not going to affect us today. And I was just trying to get away from them. I wasn't getting any younger. And the wear and tear of some of these more toxic chemicals are gonna, I think they're aging us. I think they're making our organs work a little harder. And so, yes, it was very purposeful, very mindful from the word go to make sure that I used really food grade because it was in my kitchen, but also just avoidance of chemicals.
Mhm. So how have these, how do your miracle bombs, and I appreciate that very much because I think we overlook the things that we think we're just using a little bit of. But if we're using a little bit of something every day of our lives, or most days of our lives, there's an accumulation and a buildup of those materials in the system, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do the miracle bombs tie into like neurological health? Is there a correlation between those and
I got so I was using the balm just for blisters, and women were using it for their underwire, like sports bra abrasion. So it was very, see and avoid type problems. But then I got frostbite. I did a winter race in the Adirondack Mountains and I got frostbite. So I had neuropathy. And I knew that magnesium worked for migraine. So I've been giving people a magnesium spray that you can just buy on eBay or Amazon to rub on their temples and rub on their occiput. But I thought, I'm going to try that for my neuropathy. And I did, and it was night and day difference. So I thought, well, why don't I just make this? And so we added the magnesium, ionic magnesium, mag chloride, into the original Miracle Balm. And that's where our biggest seller came from, was the mag balm. And if it worked for that, I would thought, oh, well, why don't you try it for your headaches? And then I had some restless leg people who, I don't want to really do a deep dive on restless leg, but it's basically a movement disorder where you can have ignition failure, like your starter engages while the car is running, or have a failure of sensation where people, the happy feet people who are always tapping their feet, they're doing give what kind of a counter irritant, like my foot is still here, it's not in the fire or hanging over, that sort of thing. So there's two movement disorders, but the treatment's the same. You can just use the magnesium. So it was neuropathy, numb, neuropathy pain, restless leg, relax. It's very relaxing, right? It's an anti-anxiety, kind of anti-stress quality. It even lowers blood pressure because of the way that it works with calcium. And it is great for migraine. And we put lavender in there and peppermint oil in there for the soothing qualities as well. Once again, it was very mindful and purpose driven, but it integrated fabulously. And I would make a batch of these, and we'd always have 5 or 10% left over, and I would put it in every available jar that I had and take them to the office like samples, and I would just give them to people. And are you better or are you not? If you're not better, don't use it. If you are better, buy more. So I got it.
Yeah. That's interesting because my dad keeps coming up because he would always bounce his feet or shake his leg.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I'm just thinking about the correlation between certain things in the brain. And I'm like, well, gosh, the brain pretty much is connected to everything, right? So, so when you started your miracle bombs, were you still in the medical system at the time? Like, I'm just curious, like, were you like doing this over here and then doing this, like, or were you like afraid to like share it with other doctors, or like what was that like?
It wasn't even a side hustle. It was just something I did for myself, and I shared it. And Natalie turned it into a business. And even then, I was, like I said before, I thrive on feedback. I need people to tell me what do they like about it, what do they hate about it, and we would maybe fine tune it a little bit. But I was still working full time, taking call, weekends, late nights, that sort of thing. So it was a very nooks and crannies type of job. And little by little, that became most of my day because the rest of my day was so easy. I cut back to less than half time 4 years ago. And that was great because I could stay sharp. And now I've given up all my hospital privileges. I just work out of an office. And I give patients my cell phone number, and I just ask they give me a 24-hour grace period
Mhm.
to get back. Usually it's first thing the next morning. But it's, Natalie wakes up in the middle of the night and starts doing Dr. Doug's. I don't do that.
She's inspired. She got to get it out there, huh?
I guess so. She's just always churning, she's always churning.
So you
Hopefully
mentioned the original. What'd you say?
I said, hopefully that answered the question. Like
Yeah,
how I
I
went
think
from
so.
full-time one to
Yeah,
part-time. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. It sounds like you get to, like you said, you don't want to be burnt out, and now you're able to focus your time and energy in places that are super meaningful to you in an intimate way where you're serving the people in front of you.
Very much so.
You get to get that feedback, you can make action on it, you can follow up with people. So
Yeah.
I think that's really good, especially for the day and age that we live in. People want to feel like they're being seen and they're being heard and have a
Yeah.
relationship with their care provider. So
And I get tired of saying it, but it's still true, is that we don't really have a healthcare system. We have a health rescue system. And I do healthcare in terms of prevention and coaching and things like that, diet, exercise. Yes, I work in healthcare, but really, I wish everybody else did. We're treating a lot of codes and conditions and symptoms without thinking about what's the problem. And going back to the beginning, like, let's solve this problem.
mhm.
So that's very satisfying for me. I don't fear incredibly complicated patients. They're the greater the challenge, the greater the satisfaction in the end. So
Yeah, that's wonderful.
yeah.
So you started off with, let's see, you've got your original, you mentioned the original bomb. So I wanted to ask you, how many products, because you have several things behind you. So you have an arsenal of products now. How many products do you have to offer folks?
Yeah, so these are the main 6 or 7 that we have, but it's the original with zinc for sun protection and also wound healing. The magnesium is in the original. And then I got a plantar fasciitis, so I added arnica to it. So we have original mag arnica. And then the bug repellent wasn't as strong as we wanted for like Caribbean and no-see-ums and things like that. I increased the lemongrass, added something called eucalyptus lemon or lemon eucalyptus, dash of cinnamon. So it's, we call it bulletproof balm, but it's the exact same balm. I've just reformulated it. And then if you have sunscreen or if you have a bug potion, you need bug potion with zinc. So we have a sun protectant bug repellent. And then we have a baby balm, and the baby balm is a complete reformulation. It's got the same base, beeswax, extra virgin olive oil, extra virgin coconut oil, and shea butter. And we've did a couple trade-offs for things that are toddler and newborn safe.
Nice. I love that. I'm a great aunt now. And so I got to see our new baby to the family over the weekend. So I like to encourage my niece to keep thinking through what's in the products and things like that. She's already leaning towards being mindful of that. So I love that. There's nothing better for a mom than to know you're just taking the utmost best care of your child inside and out. So, all right. So I'm watching our time to be mindful. I know we could talk forever and ever.
You could.
I look forward to talking to you again. We love to share some tips with the people that are listening in. Yeah. So we love to share with them some simple, practical things that they can do to think holistic each day and to make little changes, which I know you and I talked about this before. It's not about doing something perfectly, but we get to learn more each day, and we get the opportunity to make little changes in our lives that can make a huge difference. So I think you have some tips for us, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the little changes that are going to stick, right? The people who start that exercise program running a 5K a day, then they miss a day and they can't go back. So I tell people just start with one mindful thing a day, whether it's standing on one foot while you brush your teeth. That it's growth hormone, right? You got to brush your teeth anyway. So a lot of little things you can do. The thing that, with your grandniece, it's hugely important, is the largest organ in that newborn's body is the skin. So start with the skin. And the baby may or may not take breast milk, may or may not take formula, but you're going to put something on that baby's skin. So be very thoughtful, read the labels, do your own research. There's so much out there. The upside of the internet is you can find an answer. The downside is filtering out the answer. But start with the skin. The skin is hugely important. It is a barrier. It is also, holds things in, and those things it holds in can also be poisonous. So start with your skin.
Yeah. Nice.
And if you start like Natalie, she'll tell you if she was here, oh, I do my magnesium right out of the shower every day. Right. So the other thing that people neglect is their sleep. And so as we age, we make less melatonin. So a lot of people make or take extra melatonin. That starts really in your late 20s, 30s. But I tell people, don't forget magnesium. Magnesium actually potentiates your endogenous melatonin. And so the magnesium makes your melatonin work better. And it's age, it does not discriminate on age. We have toddlers who can put magnesium on the soles of their feet and they're more restful. I have a psychologist friend who rubs it on her children's temples. And so it's, start with the skin, do magnesium, before the melatonin, because your sleep will improve. And, treat your health like it's utterly invaluable. It's free and we take it for granted. But if you treated your health like it was your weekly or monthly paycheck, you might shepherd it a little bit better. And, people think, oh, they think if they're going to lose 10 years of their life, they think it's on the back end of 90, right? Whereas it's now. We don't know what the future holds, but we know what we're doing today. And that's really it. Start with your skin, magnesium, take care of your sleep, and treat your health like it's the most valuable thing you have. Yes, it's free. It was given to you by God, but you have to really give it a due regard and attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Our health, it's free. Yes. It reminds me of my son's coach who says, gotta get your free throws in, they're free. Yeah, so we're building our daily skills and what we're doing, whether it's our mental inputs or our physical inputs, which is our environment around us, and those emotional inputs, the spiritual inputs. So that all makes a big difference, especially when we're looking at ourselves from a holistic perspective.
And that piece is so hard. It's hard to escape from doom scrolling and everything else. But that moment when you're talking about your mental health, start with a minute. If you can't do 10, start with 1. 10 is better.
Yeah. And what are we?
I think we said it at lunch, but I said a lot of my patients want to medicate, and I say, no, you need to meditate, right? Meditate before you medicate. And if you still need it, then we'll revisit it. But protect that piece. That's part of your health.
Yeah. So what are some ways that you, like you're saying, taking a minute, take it 10 minutes. Like, what do you do to take a minute or 10 for yourself?
Well, I have to set an alarm in case I fall asleep. I can go get very meditative sometimes.
Got it. So you have a meditative practice.
Yeah, but I'll lay my head on a desk or I'll sit out back, pet the dog, and just get the phone out of arm's reach because it's so tempting. And it goes from 1 minute to 10 to my bubble is right at 19. If I do that for 19 minutes, people say, who has 19 minutes? Believe it or not, it's like sharpening the saw. You can work all day with a dull tool, but you take that 19 minutes and you're back in it. You've sharpened the saw again. And that's how I do it. There's a great book out there. I have no affiliation with him, but it's called Meditation for Fidgety Skeptics. And it's almost like he's channeling my mind, because the minute I start meditating, I'm like, oh, my wallet's in the wrong spot. Did I leave the water on? Do I hear the mailman? But after a while, you just let all that intrusion pass through you, and you find your peace, and joy blooms. And when you come out, people ask me all the time, why are you always in such a good mood? Well, number one, I'm not. But number two is you probably caught me right after one of those little pauses, a little 5 to 10 or 19-minute pause.
Yeah, that pause or reset time.
Yeah.
I love that you're honest, that you're not always happy. And I love that you highlighted our furry friends, just that
Like,
therapeutic aspect of loving on a pet, or even, just like for me, cuddling with my son. Like it's my favorite thing ever. He's
yeah,
10 and a half now. Like, come sit with mommy on the couch. My favorite thing. Like if you just sit
yeah.
here and we can look out the window and look at the trees and the birds. So
No,
okay.
incredibly important. We are herd animals. Even if
Yeah,
we're solitary introverts and loners, we still are herd animals. And we like to have that physical touch. We like to have that emotional connection.
yeah. So fun. We had some therapy dogs at Wellbeing Fest back in the fall, and it
Mhm.
was just, I mean, people just gravitated toward,
Yeah,
visiting them, these dogs. So
yeah.
magical creatures, all kinds of
And
magical creatures, all the animals. So, well, thank you so much for spending time with me.
have me back. I'll talk more.
Yes, I love it that you are local to Indianapolis area, and I get to spend time with you today. I look forward to more of that. And I encourage people out there, follow Dr. Doug's Miracle Bombs as well as the Healthy Brain Doc. They're both on Facebook as well as Instagram. So if you look in the show notes, you can find those if social media is your thing and where you like to follow. The websites are there too. If you want to go check out his website, learn more about what he has going on. I know you've started doing some wonderful social media posts just to
Yeah,
educate people, like little nuggets of information. So check out his smiling face in those places and stay tuned into what Indie Holistic Hub has going on our website. You can go to indieholistichub.com. You can check out our upcoming events, as well as past episodes of the Think Holistic podcast. I also want to say thanks again to Dr. Doug Miracle Bombs for being part of Indie Holistic Hub. I also want to give a shout out to Holistic Dental Wellness of Carmel as pro members of the Holistic Hub too. We love supporting all of you, and we love that you support us back, and it's a beautiful thing. So thank you, Doug, for your time.
it is my pleasure.
Blessed day.
You as well.
Thank you for listening to the Think Holistic podcast by Indie Holistic Hub, a show designed to help you on your wellness journey. When you think holistic, you live holistic. To find holistic professionals near you, go to indieholistichub.com.